Now at 11 on Spectrum News on ABC 45. High Point police say they have located the man suspected of firing a shot near a school today. The update on the story and reaction from parents. Plus, 2 school districts in the area did not dismiss students early on Friday when it was snowing, angering some parents. Why school officials decided not to let the kids go home early. Also, what you need to know before the Friday deadline to sign up for health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. Good evening, I'm Kristen Drummond. Rob Wu has the night off. We have more on those stories in just a minute, but first, let's head over to meteorologist Monty Montello for a quick first check of your weather.
We did enjoy some milder weather here on this Monday, and temperatures tonight shouldn't be so bad here thanks to a light southwesterly wind. We should stay at or even a little above freezing for tomorrow morning, around 35. Temperatures top out early tomorrow afternoon under partly sunny skies, 48. But a Arctic front swings through here tomorrow evening. That sets up very cold weather on Wednesday. I'll look at your 7-day forecast here coming up in about 10 minutes. Back to you.
High Point police have in custody the person suspected of firing a gun at High Point Central High School this afternoon. The school was placed on an emergency lockdown for a couple of hours following the shooting. Spectrum News reporter Nana Senyo-Bonsu has the story.
This was the scene at High Point Central High School Monday around 2 o'clock. Worried parents looking for their kids.
I'm not leaving until I see my child. I'm not comfortable until I lay eyes on my baby.
High Point police say this person, a juvenile suspect, fired a gun moments before officials put the school on lockdown.
I got another son and they're stuck inside the school, and the police or nobody will not give me my child. I'm really angry.
Parents say they're upset that they weren't informed about the shooting as soon as it happened.
The school didn't call. We didn't get a call from the school until 3:43.
Students were finally allowed to leave the building at normal dismissal time around 3:50.
So I had no clue if it was my child that was in there shot or if it was my child at the hospital fighting for his life.
Her son DeAndre says the lockdown caught him by surprise.
It's not a good experience, especially knowing like they could actually come into school and, kill somebody. He was in the corner of the class where like the door, we was like beside the door, but you couldn't see the door. Like we had something covered up, so it's like we was in the corner hiding.
Parents say more needs to be done to protect students when they're at school.
They need to step up the security here.
Metal detectors.
Police say no one was injured, but this mother is just glad both of her kids are safe.
I got both my babies. I know they both here. They alive. They breathing. I'm happy.
In High Point, Nana Senyo-Bonsu, Spectrum News.
Police are not releasing the name of the suspect because he's a juvenile. Winston-Salem police are investigating a fatal shooting. Police responded to shots fired at the Hook Social Fish Arcade on Kernersville Road just after 4 this morning. That's where they found 53-year-old Albert Haskins Jr. shot dead inside. Another man was also found shot inside. He was taken to the hospital where he's currently listed in critical condition. Haskins' death marks the 23rd homicide in Winston-Salem so far this year. Anyone with information about this shooting is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 336-773-7700. Guilford County schools officials say they did everything by the book this past Friday when they finally decided to release students. This statement after some parents complained students were not dismissed early enough. The chief operations officer says that throughout the day on Friday, he was expecting minimal, if any, snow accumulation. But as the day continued and the snow started to pile on, he says it was simply too late to change plans.
Actually, about 11:30, quarter to 12, gets to be about the latest point in that we can call bus drivers back so that we can implement that early release schedule. So we have to know pretty early. We have to notify bus drivers. We have to notify our parents.
Looking back, school officials say they would have dismissed schools early if they'd known the snow would accumulate. They say 3 of their students were sent to the hospital with minor injuries after several bus accidents. Some enjoyed the snow this past weekend, but for others, the wintry weather was not a joyful experience. The president and CEO of Old Salem says the snowstorm kept the crowds away. Franklin Vanione says due to the winter weather and the power outages, it caused several events to be canceled. Vanione added the cancellation of popular events like her Candlelight Christmas tours hurts revenue. Staff members are working to get operations back up and running as soon as possible. Thomasville police say a street race led to the death of a 16-year-old boy. Investigators say it happened just after 1 yesterday morning. Two cars were racing on Randolph Street. One of the vehicles crashed. The other left the area. Police say there were 3 teens and a 21-year-old inside the crashed car. 16-year-old Marco Escamilla died at the scene. The other 3 were treated and released from the hospital. Officers say alcohol did play a factor in the crash. High Point police arrest 2 men for a string of nail salon robberies spanning across 3 cities. 29-year-old Cameron Nguyen and 31-year-old Fong Nguyen were arrested during a traffic stop around 10:30 last night. Officials say the pair broke in and stole money and equipment from nearly a dozen nail salons in High Point, Archdale, Asheboro, and Forsyth County since November 28th. Both men are in jail under a $1 million bond. Recent cases of animal abuse and neglect in Davidson County are fueling one woman's mission to bring the suspects to justice. Angie Allred started a petition days after 3 dogs were found extremely emaciated at this home in Lexington. 2 were saved, but the 3rd dog, named Tank, had to be put down. Allred started with a goal of 500 signatures. As of now, there's nearly 10,000.
We need to show people this is not going to be allowed. This horrible, malicious, horrific abuse is not going to be tolerated in our county.
Wesley and Rain Stevenson are being charged with felony animal abuse and will be in court January 8th. Allred plans to deliver the petition to the district attorney's office before then. The paving and milling work on Battleground Avenue and Cone Boulevard has been put on hold at least until next year. City of Greensboro construction officials say the work's being delayed because of the recent snow, cold temperatures, and busy holiday shoppers that pack the roadways. Neighboring businesses, All Pets Considered, says the construction forced them to change the way they do business.
Within a radius that's listed on our website, we will deliver for free. So if that helps the customer out so they don't have to come out and get in the traffic, we're happy to do that for them. We also will do curbside service.
The work was originally scheduled to be done by the end of this year. Well, time is running out for people looking to sign up for coverage under the Affordable Care Act. If you want or need to sign up, you have until this Friday, December 15th. Spectrum News reporter Amy Elliott spoke with a coverage navigator to learn just how many people are looking for their help.
So we're going to enroll.
The December 15th deadline is looming for customers looking to sign up for Affordable Care Act coverage.
We are very busy. We do have enrollment opportunities across the state of North Carolina, but they are going really fast because people are taking action. They know this is their last chance to get coverage for 2018.
Customers have had a shorter enrollment period this year, going from 90 days to roughly 45 days. Simmons says it's too early to decipher whether the sign-up period has been a success so far.
If you go and look at the federal data, it's really hard to compare last year to this year because last year they were putting out the numbers every 2 weeks. This year they're putting it out weekly.
The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services shows in North Carolina in 2016 more than 360,000 people had signed up by week 6 of enrollment. This year's most current numbers for week 5 shows just over 209,000 signups.
I will tell you, people seem more urgent this year than ever before. In prior years, they might have come and then left saying, gosh, let me think about this. I'll go home and sleep on it. This year, people are coming up. They say they want to get it taken care of and make sure they have it in place. So people are leaving with coverage in place.
Those who've waited until this week to sign up may have to battle some long lines in order to get a navigator for assistance. However, Simmons says it's worth the patience in order to get the coverage.
This year, December 15th is the firm deadline. If somebody calls us on December 16th, we're going to have to say, I'm really sorry, you can't have coverage unless something happens until 2019.
But there's still time to hear these words.
Your health insurance card, and then you're all set.
And have medical coverage for the coming year. In Raleigh, Amy Elliott, Spectrum News.
For more information on meeting with the navigator, you can visit ncnavigator.net.
Another round of Arctic air arrives into the Carolinas later tomorrow. We'll tell you how cold your Wednesday morning will be. Plus, a look at your 7-day forecast coming up right after this break.
Did you put up flyers?
Excuse me, how much for this,
Death ray. It's $1 billion.
What?
I'm never going to make enough to cover these early termination fees for satellite. They make you sign a contract, so you got to pay hundreds of dollars just to get out of it. They don't even remove the dish.
Ridiculous.
I'll give you $4.
Put it in the jar.
I would pay twice as much for that. That was me. Trying to get her into a bidding war.
Termination fees are evil.
Yeah, I can use that.
Spectrum doesn't have them. Satellite TV, bad. Spectrum, good.
5 minutes a night
just doesn't cut it.
That's why Chevrolet Sports Night is on for a full half hour every night on Spectrum News.
Get intense with it.
Get more scores, more highlights, more interviews.
It's just a matter of time.
More coverage of your favorite high school, college, and professional teams. And more time to focus on your local teams. Watch Chevrolet Sports Night, nightly at 10 on Spectrum News. Exclusively on Spectrum. You're watching Spectrum News on ABC 45. Get your Spectrum News anytime. Call today.
Meteorologist Monty Mantello joins us now with your full weather forecast. Monty.
Yeah, a little milder for us here on this Monday, but temperatures here for the next couple of days will be trending down. In fact, a big blast of Arctic air coming in tomorrow night. That's going to set up very cold weather Wednesday, but at least for this evening, tonight, and tomorrow we'll do okay. In fact, with a light southwesterly wind out there tonight, not nearly as cold. I think we'll stay at or even a little above freezing for our morning temperatures on Tuesday. Before that Arctic air comes in, we'll start to see those winds turning northwesterly behind the front. That should begin tomorrow early afternoon. Basically two frontal systems merging into one here, and that Arctic air again plunging on in for Tuesday night. Now we are going to add a little cloud cover for tomorrow. By 6 o'clock in the morning you can see partly sunny skies here, and then throughout the day partly cloudy, but no rain, snow or ice for us here in central North Carolina with this front. Mountains could see a little snow here with those strong northwesterly winds developing on Tuesday, but that'll remain in the higher elevations of North Carolina. High today, again, a nice little jump, 51, not too bad, actually very close to the normal of 52 for this time of year. 25 this morning. Again, the past many mornings have been very cold. No rain today, about an inch and just a little bit above that for the month so far, at least in terms of liquid precip. Again, snow in the mountains during the day tomorrow. High pressure charging in here Tuesday night. We'll start Wednesday morning off in the teens to near 20. That'll be the coldest morning so far here this late fall season. It does warm a little for us after Wednesday. We should be back into the 50-degree range for Thursday, but overall our temperatures stay on the chilly side as we roll into the weekend. So by 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, shortly after sunrise Wednesday, lower 20s, single digits even in the mountains. Not warming up a lot Wednesday. By 11, 12 o'clock lunchtime temperatures only near 30, and again by the afternoon only in the mid-30s. Look for again some snow up there in the high country, especially around the ski resorts. That should set up some nice ski conditions here. Looking for that 1 to 3 inches throughout the higher elevations. So a winter weather advisory posted for later tonight through early Wednesday morning for the mountains. Great ski conditions, pack powder conditions, about 50% or so of the terrain open for the most part here in the mountains. And again, great ski conditions should continue for the coming week or so. 35 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Temperatures tomorrow a little cooler than today, but overall pretty good. After that, that cold air really surging in here later Tuesday night. 20 by Wednesday morning with a high 37. Factor in the wind on Wednesday. We're thinking it's going to feel more like the 20s much of the day. 50 on Wednesday, then back into the 40s Friday, Saturday. Next chance for some rain showers should arrive in the latter part of the weekend, early next week, but we should warm up at least a touch early next week with highs returning back into the mid-50s. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Monty. Biddy and Bo's Coffee in Wilmington is hoping to take the top spot for a national award. Voting ends tomorrow for CNN's Top 10 Heroes, a program that highlights people who are changing the world. Amy Wright started the shop 2 years ago after she noticed there aren't many job opportunities for folks who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. Right now, they employ 40 people with disabilities and look forward to expanding that in January when they open a second location in Charleston. Now, as a finalist, Wright will receive $10,000 and training from the Annenberg Foundation. She'll also be highlighted during the All-Star Tribute broadcast on CNN December 17th. Well, Charlotte Hornets on a quick 2-game trip, and without a couple of big guns, could they pick up their second road win of the season against Oklahoma City? That and more next in sports.
Did you put up flyers?
Excuse me, how much for this,
Death Ray. It's $1 billion.
What?
I'm never going to make enough to cover these early termination fees for satellite. They make you sign a contract, so you got to pay hundreds of dollars just to get out of it. They don't even remove the dish.
Ridiculous.
I'll give you $4.
Put it in the jar.
I would pay twice as much for that. That was me trying to get her into a bidding war.
Termination fees are evil.
Yeah, I can use that.
Spectrum doesn't have them. Satellite TV, bad. Spectrum, good.
5 minutes a night
Just doesn't cut it.
That's why Chevrolet Sports Night is on for a full half hour every night on Spectrum News.
Get intense with it.
Get more scores, more highlights, more interviews.
It's just a matter of time.
More coverage of your favorite high school, college, and professional teams. And more time to focus on your local teams. Watch Chevrolet Sports Night, nightly at 10 on Spectrum News. Exclusively on Spectrum. You're watching Spectrum News on ABC 45. Get your Spectrum News anytime. Call today.
Mike Solarte joins us now with sports. And Mike, Charlotte Hornets, they're going back on the road, but they seem to be struggling on the road this season.
Yeah, they have struggled mightily on the road this season. In fact, coming into their game on Monday night, they had just one win away from the home arena. And so they're trying to fix that on a 2-game road trip. Bugs heading off to Oklahoma City, but they're doing it shorthanded. Nick Batum out due to elbow soreness. And then the team announcing Monday night that Cody Zeller will be lost for as many as 6 weeks, rather. Zeller with a torn medial meniscus that requires surgery. He will have that surgery on Tuesday. Kemba Walker and company, again, looking for that second road win of the season. Bugs at 9-16. Could they get to their 10th win as well? It doesn't look like it early. Carmelo Anthony drains the triple. He'd finish the game with 11. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist had himself a bit of a night. Drives in, draws 4 defenders into the lane. Actually 5 if you count the run out. Marvin Williams knocks down 3 of his season-high 18. And the Bugs are up by 10. Paul George crossing up Jeremy Lamb. Now it's a 7-point game. Drains a 3 there. George finished with 20 for the Thunder. Next possession, Russell Westbrook, who had a night of his own. He had 30 points. Nothing for him there. The big finish from Steven Adams, keeping the Hornets within striking distance. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist again. Lob, Dwight Howard, he had 23. The Hornets score 40 points in the third quarter after being tied at 52s at the break, and the Hornets win it by a final of 116 to 103. All right, Wake Forest and Texas A&M will meet in the Belk Bowl on December the 29th. Head coach Dave Clawson, the Wake Forest helmet, and the trophy all in Charlotte on Monday to kind of promote the bowl. Deeks went 7-5 overall, 4-4 against the ACC. Now this is an ACC against the SEC bowl matchup. Clawson knows that the debate rages between those two conferences. It'll be on display on the 29th.
I think college football fans, there's a great debate over what is the best division in college football. And certainly we feel in the ACC Atlantic, we lay a claim to that, and I'm sure people in the SEC West feel that that's their claim. And this is a bowl game that pits teams from arguably the 2 best divisions in all of college football.
On the college hardwood, Duke suffered their first loss of the season on Saturday at Boston College, and after spending the early season at number 1, well, there's a new team atop that AP Top 25. Villanova, the new number 1 team in all the land, according to the Associated Press. Wildcats earning 41 of 65 first-place votes. They are followed by Michigan State, Wichita State, and then Duke in at number 4. As far as the rest of the ACC goes, Miami's at 6, Carolina at 7, Virginia is in the poll at 16, Notre Dame checks in at 18, Florida State shows up at 19. A lot of teams having some time off, which includes Wake Forest. They're not in the poll, but it's final exam time. So it's going to be hard-pressed to find any basketball being played locally over the next couple of days. In fact, NC State isn't back on the floor, Kristen, until Saturday when they take on UNCG.
Well, that'll be an exciting game for everyone up in the Triad. Check out, some good teams playing some ball there on the hardwood.
Exactly.
All right. Well, when we come back, a North Carolina mother accused in the death of her son who froze to death pleads guilty before going to trial. But she'll not be spending another day in jail. Find out why when we return.
Did you put up flyers?
Excuse me, how much for this,
Death ray. It's $1 billion.
What?
I'm never going to make enough to cover these early termination fees for satellite. They make you sign a contract, so you got to pay hundreds of dollars just to get out of it. They don't even remove the dish.
Ridiculous.
I'll give you $4.
Put it in the jar.
I would pay twice as much for that. That was me trying to get her into a bidding war.
Termination fees are evil.
Yeah, I can use that.
Spectrum doesn't have them. Satellite TV, bad. Spectrum, good.
5 minutes a night
Just doesn't cut it.
That's why Chevrolet Sports Night is on for a full half hour every night on Spectrum News.
Get intense with it.
Get more scores, more highlights, more interviews.
It's just a matter of time.
More coverage of your favorite high school, college, and professional teams. And more time to focus on your local teams. Watch Chevrolet Sports Night, nightly at 10 on Spectrum News. Exclusively on Spectrum. You're watching Spectrum News on ABC 45. Get your Spectrum News anytime. Call today.
The mother of this little boy who froze to death admits responsibility for his death. Jamie Basinger pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter charges in court this morning, but she won't spend another day in jail. Spectrum News reporter Vanessa Leon has followed this story since day one and tells us the surprise ending to this very sad story.
Do you now personally plead guilty to that offense? Yes. Are you in fact guilty of that crime?
Yes. 9 months after her son froze to death, 24-year-old Jamie Basinger admitted responsibility. Basinger's family was there for support.
She was a good mom. This is what I'm going to say. She was a good mom. She didn't mean for none of this to happen. And she loved her babies.
This story gripped the Burke County community after a passerby found Landon frozen to death outside this Morganton home back in March. The temperature that morning was in the low 20s, the wind chill even colder. Basinger's sister still struggles when she thinks of what happened.
Yeah, I can't do it no more.
Detectives say Basinger was asleep inside with her boyfriend and admitted to using meth 2 days before.
She's got a long road ahead of her. We have to help her.
Basinger has maintained her innocence, even turning down a previous plea from the state. The trial was supposed to start today, but instead she will be going home. The judge credited her 245 days in jail and sentenced her to 3 years probation.
She's here to take responsibility for this.
But for Landon's family, the question of how he got out remains.
Still unanswered questions.
That baby was just unique. He was special.
In Burke County, Vanessa Leon, Spectrum News.
Adding to the heartbreak, during the hearing, the assistant district attorney said detectives fingerprinted the door and found Landon's hands all over the screen storm door, not high enough to reach the handle. Well, don't go away. We'll have a recap of some of the top national stories when we come back.
For years, Spectrum has been helping to create safe and healthy homes for those in need. By engaging employee volunteers, we perform critical home repairs so families can live in their homes without worry. Our dedication to providing renovations, accessibility, safety, and energy-efficient upgrades is unwavering because helping others is rooted in our commitment to the communities we live in and serve.
I thank them so much.
Learn how you can get involved at SpectrumHousingAssist.com.
Thank you for starting your morning with us right here on Spectrum News.
Start your day off right with Spectrum News in the morning.
The information you need, that's the weather, that's the traffic, that's what's happening in our communities.
Our day begins long before the sun comes up.
We really work hard around the clock here. Some of us waking up very early to get you the important information that maybe you missed overnight.
Start your morning with Spectrum News, exclusively on Spectrum.
The one thing I love about politics is it impacts every part of our lives, whether it's teacher pay or taxes, what impacts the money in your wallet. I think what separates us is our expertise and our experience. When something's happening behind closed doors, we know about it. It is more important than ever for us to be here covering these stories and keeping tabs on government.
Rain or shine, turn to Spectrum News for weather on the ones and get weather updates every 10 minutes. See what's coming your way and how to plan your day. Spectrum News, exclusively on Spectrum.
A group of women who publicly accused President Donald Trump of sexual assault and harassment are now demanding he should be investigated along with other lawmakers facing similar accusations. The women held a news conference this morning detailing their accounts of being groped, fondled, and forcibly kissed by the then businessman. They've made their accounts public before, but now they're demanding a congressional investigation.
I am hoping that this will come forward and produce enough pressure on Congress to address it, more than just for their own members, but to address it in the president.
They've investigated other Congress members, so I think it only stands fair that he be investigated as well.
At least 13 women have come forward with accusations against President Trump before he took office. Well, 2 Senate Democrats are calling for President Donald Trump to step down following these sexual harassment and assault allegations. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey says the allegations against President Trump are more serious than Senator Al Franken's, who announced his resignation last week. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon made his request in an email fundraising pitch. The president has denied any wrongdoing. Well, 2 of the biggest names in politics, President Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama, are using their star power, trying to sway voters in the final crucial hours before Alabama's special election for Senate. Kaylee Hartung reports.
With only hours until the polls open in Alabama, a pair of presidents are adding their voices to the race.
Hi, this is President Donald Trump, and I need Alabama to go vote for Roy Moore.
This automated call from President Trump, his latest effort to support his party's nominee, matched by a message from former President Barack Obama, backing the Democrat Doug Jones, calling this a race you can't sit out. Alabama feeling the strain of a divided GOP.
I'd rather see the Republican win, but I hope that Republican would be a write-in. I couldn't vote for Roy Moore. I didn't vote for Roy Moore.
Just 2 days before the election, Alabama's most prominent Republican, Senator Richard Shelby, denounced Moore, an accused child molester, on CNN's State of the Union with Jake Tapper.
So many cuts, so many drip. When it got to the 14-year-old story, that was enough for me. The state of Alabama deserves better.
The Jones campaign immediately converted Shelby's comments into an online ad and robocall.
I think that the people of the state, they've elected Richard Shelby for 4 decades. They're going to listen to Richard Shelby.
Jones spent the weekend blanketing the state alongside other prominent Democrats, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. Instead of campaigning, Moore could not be found, other than this taped interview with a local media outlet.
I do not know them. I had no encounter with them. I never molested anyone.
Again, the election is tomorrow. The special Senate election is to replace Jeff Sessions, who is now the U.S. Attorney General. Transgender people will be able to enlist in the military in the new year, the Pentagon allowing enlistment to begin on January 1st. Despite President Donald Trump's opposition, potential recruits will have to pass a lengthy and strict set of physical, medical, and mental conditions that make it possible to join the armed services. Authorities now say at least 5 people were injured in what is being called an attempted terrorist attack this morning in New York City. State and city officials say 27-year-old Aki Abdullah is responsible for the blast and is in custody. The police commissioner says Ullah wore an improvised low-tech explosive device attached to his body. He intentionally detonated the bomb at the Port Authority bus terminal near Times Square. Sarah Huckabee Sanders addressed the terrorist attack during the daily White House press briefing.
Additionally, this attack comes as our coalition continues to make great gains against ISIS. Still, there is more work to be done on the ground in the shrinking ISIS-controlled areas, and the president's plan to annihilate ISIS is moving forward. But we must also destroy the evil ideology that is behind ISIS and attacks like today's.
Since the attack, security has stepped up around the city. All 3 victims from the attack were taken to the hospital and are expected to be okay. Monty has a last check of your weather when we come back after the break. Stay with us.
Always on for you. Spectrum News. From breaking news to weather every 10 minutes.
Mostly sunny skies for today. We'll be watching a cold front, though, approaching from the south and west.
To the latest from the Capitol.
A vote is underway right now.
To your town hall. And behind-the-scenes access to your favorite teams.
Wake Forest outgained Florida State by 100 yards of total offense.
We bring you news when you want it.
And I'll have that story for you next.
For local news 24/7, watch Spectrum News, exclusively on Spectrum.
If you're looking for a job where you play an important role in your company and work in a supportive team environment, join Spectrum today. As a customer service representative, you'll represent the nation's fastest growing TV, internet, and voice company and help bring Spectrum services to the communities we serve. We offer a competitive salary, best-in-class benefits, complimentary services, paid training, and excellent opportunities for growth and advancement. Interested? Go to jobs.spectrum.com today.
Sundays, Spectrum News presents In Focus with Loretta Beniti. A new half-hour show digging into the critical issues impacting our state, where decision makers come together and examine what matters to you, your community, your state, your show. In Focus with Loretta Beniti, Sunday mornings at 11:30 and again at 8:30 on Spectrum News, exclusively on Spectrum. Rain or shine, turn to Spectrum News for weather on the ones and get weather updates every 10 minutes. See what's coming your way and how to plan your day. Spectrum News, exclusively on Spectrum.
After a slow start in October, flu season is gaining speed, particularly here in the South. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says flu activity, which has been increasing since the start of November, is now higher than usual for this time of year. While North Carolina hasn't reported widespread activity at this point, some of our neighboring states like Virginia and South Carolina have. In our state, flu infections are most common from late fall to early spring. Peak activity usually takes place in January or February. A total of 5 flu-related deaths have been reported in North Carolina since flu season started in October. Suburbs of Raleigh and Charlotte dominate the list of the safest communities in North Carolina. The report from home security provider Safe Home lists 3 Wake County communities in the top 5, including Holly Springs at number 1. 2 Mecklenburg County towns are also in the top 5. In the Safe Homes top 25 list, the cities of Charlotte, Durham, Greensboro, Wilmington, and Asheville are included. The company used data including citizen-to-officer ratio along with numbers of violent crime and property crime to compile its rankings. Well, let's get a last check of your forecast with meteorologist Monty Montello.
We'll do okay tonight, not nearly as cold as our last several mornings, which have been down into the low to mid 20s, only 35 here for your Tuesday. A decent amount of cloud cover tomorrow, 48. Arctic front comes through late. That sets up cold temperatures Wednesday. By Wednesday morning, temperatures will be bottoming out near 20, even some upper teens in outlying areas. Back to you.
All right, Monty, well, we'll make sure we need to bundle up, especially with that Arctic blast coming our way. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next. Spectrum News is available around the clock and on your schedule. You can always check us out at SpectrumLocalNews.com. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.